Hello, welcome to my channel from the desk of Dr. Karen. Thank you for stopping by. I am in favor of all things academic, maybe because I took so long to go to school. So by the time I reached into school, I was addicted to some extent. Anyway, as I said, everything started late for me. I went to school late, I went to university later than my peers that I went to school with. Yes, it's all funny to me now because I've overcome so much. But that's for another clip. But today I want to talk about two things that I still use, although I'm no longer an active student. One is this very old book called uh, The Essentials of College and University Writing. This book was my savior as a newbie university student in my undergrad days. That's to tell how long the old this book is, but it's still very current. Because later on, as I was teaching and lecturing and training others in writing on some extent or the other, I found a lot of the things in this book I had to use. And then, this is my all things grammar. It's a beautiful piece of laminated sheet, and I tell you, most things grammar. I shouldn't say all things grammar. This was grammar before Grammarly. uh, this was my AI. So for those who are AI fanatic, my AI still is. It's called the Quick Study Academic, and I think there's an upgraded one on Amazon. I don't quote me on this, but I think there's an upgraded one on Amazon. I used this one in my college days, and I used this one in my teaching days, not only for my students, but also to remind myself on all things academic and all things grammar. The amusing thing about teaching adults, especially adults who consider themselves educators or teachers, they are more critical of their lecturer than of themselves. So I found I had a class of 100 and something students, and among them, at least 3% of the class were critics. And some of the critics were the worst academic essay writers. And but this is my channel, so I can laugh about it. If I had to do this in a formal way, I could not probably be laughing as much as I find the memory so funny. So instead of teaching themselves, as I did in the 90s when I was in my undergrad days, they are sitting down criticizing the lecturer and getting bad grades. And then, of course, they're challenging the limited effort they put forth in an essay that should have been a really good essay because they were teachers. It was a comedy. But outside of that, I want to tell you the value or share with you what value I found in these writings, these pitfalls in academic and essential college writing. The value to me is that it's now ingrained in my system, in my psyche to assess writing from the tips and tricks I learned in these books. And I remember the first time I read this book, my essay went from 4 out of 20, because I had no clue about academic essays when I started writing my essay, to 17 out of 20. One, the gap between the first essay that I had to redo because I only got 4, it was an embarrassing mark, and then this to the 17. This book was the fill the gap. And after this, it was no turning back. I was able to roll with academic writing uh, and understand it after then. I was well equipped and well versed in managing the challenges of academic writing. And as I move on to grad programs and also to, of course, to my PhD studies, I managed to extend and remind myself with my AI, my written AI, that these things you must look over them from time to time. So, the lessons of this clip: don't think that you don't need to address academic writing because in the past or in high school or maybe in an institute or some other writing you did, it was marked, you get good marks. Not because you get good marks there, you're gonna get good marks here, because academic writing is very structured. It has rules, regulations, demands, referencing and citation requirements, credible research uh, demands. So you have to be alert, vigilant, and also revisit all the writing skills of the past and add to them academic writing. So don't think the other writings and academic writings are of the same family. They're neighbors, but they're not of the same family. So that's my little tip for the day. Ah, wishing you a great day. Take a little time to pamper yourself. And remember, you're special, and don't never be afraid to not share the things you find helpful with others. As we pass the baton on, and as others have passed on to us, we should pass it on to others. Thanks for listening. Take care. Stay blessed. And for the desk of Dr. Karen, bye.